Alright, everybody. Welcome back to Major Gaming, and today I want to talk about my idea on how I think we could help tunneling in Dead by Daylight and how to reduce it while also giving killers more counterplay to it. Because that was one of the biggest problems with the recent anti-tunnel changes that Behavior tried to put through. They were eliminating counterplay even further by buffing the anti-tunnel, and it just made it fucking miserable. So now we are going to actually go over a way to help add counterplay, but then also make anti-tunnel possibly stronger, I think. So my idea is pretty much to make Decisive Strike into an item instead of a perk. This item would be called the knife. So survivors would get a knife. And when they use the knife, it works exactly the same as Decisive Strike, barred a few small changes. So, same as Decisive Strike, if you're holding a knife and you get unhooked, you have 60 seconds, and then during that 60 seconds, if you get down to picked up again, you can Decisive Strike the killer. All rules apply from Decisive Strike to the item, the knife. Conspicuous actions would still take into effect, and I would add the conspicuous actions hopping into a locker and taking a protection hit. If you do those two things, then those are added conspicuous actions to the knife that aren't in the game right now that really should be. I don't know why Behavior hasn't fixed these problems of the survivors using anti-tunnel aggressively instead of using it to get away from the killer. It feels like that's a pretty obvious thing that they should be fixing, like survivors hopping into a locker and becoming invincible just because they brought a perk. That's not okay. Like, they hop into a locker, and now as a killer, you're standing there like, it's either I leave this survivor and let them do whatever they want, or I pick them up and eat the Decisive Strike. I have no other options. And then for same with body blocking, it's like, okay, well, you just took a hit where I wasn't even trying to tunnel you. Now you deserve to get tunneled, but I can't even tunnel you because you have this perk. It's really stupid. Like, you're making a bad play by putting yourself in harm's way to protect your teammate, but you can't be punished for it. It makes no sense. So yeah, that's why I say those conspicuous actions need to be added. But yeah, so that would be it. It would be an item, the knife. And I'm gonna go over why I think this is a good idea. For one, it eliminates the paywall for Decisive Strike for new players, so any player can have Decisive Strike. They don't have to pay to get Decisive Strike, because the only way you could get Decisive Strike is by buying Lori, and Lori you can only get her by paying real money. You can't even use the shards to get it. So unless you get lucky with the shrine offering thing, the Shrine of Secrets or whatever. So I think it's a good idea. Then second point being that now because the knife is an item, the killer can see it in the survivor's hands, meaning they know when the survivor has Decisive Strike available to them, and they can then play around it instead of having it be this stupid guessing game every time. So oh, this survivor has a knife. I should definitely try to avoid picking them up for 60 seconds, Like, it gives more counterplay. Some might see that as too much of a nerf, but I don't think it is, because now you as survivor, since Decisive Strike is now an item instead of a perk, you don't have to bring that perk anymore. You can use a different perk to then make your perk build stronger and not have to worry about feeling like you have to bring an anti-tunnel perk. You don't have to feel like you have to do that. You can bring something else and bring the knife as an item, or even better, find the knife in a chest after using like a toolbox or something. Now, This also comes with the effect of, hopefully, less toolboxes and medkits, which is better for killer, because now more survivors are going to be bringing the knife because they feel like they need decisive strike. So less super strong items. I feel like that's a plus for killer. And then also, there will be less toolboxes and medkits available in the blood web because now we have another item on top of the fog vials that's added in the blood web, along with the add-ons for the knife, that will then stop toolboxes and medkits from showing up as much. So again, plus for killer, and you don't even have to nerf the toolboxes and medkits. Survivors will just get less of them. And now I want to go over what add-ons could be used for the knife. For the knife, I'd say base kit reduce the stun duration by 1 second, just because it is an add-on, or it is an item now and not a perk. So reducing the stun to 3 seconds, I feel like would be good. And then you have an add-on that can increase it back to 4. Probably a good idea. You could increase the timer by 5 or 10 seconds. You know, so you could have up to like a 70-second timer for decisive strike instead of a 60. You can increase the skill check size with an add-on. For eerie add-ons, you could possibly have it so that the knife no longer activates on unhook. You can just use it one time during a trial to stab the killer and stun them, so you could use the knife to save someone else instead of yourself. So it wouldn't work like the decisive strike anymore. The eerie add-on would completely change it to being like a tool you could use to save someone. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Also, there could be an eerie add-on where if you have the knife, the elusive status effect comes back, and you get the elusive status effect for 10 seconds. I feel like that could be helpful, as long as you have the knife with that eerie add-on on it. Stuff like that. Now, obviously, there would have to be more add-ons, but I'm sure Behavior could think of something. Those are just some basic ideas, and if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. But like I said, I feel like doing this would put Dead by Daylight and tunneling in a much healthier direction, where there's counterplay to anti-tunnel, but it's also stronger and more available to all survivors instead of just the ones who paid for Lori. So I think it's a win-win. I think it's a pretty good idea, and I would love for Behavior to see this and to actually implement this into the game. Obviously, Decisive Strike as the perk would have to be reworked. I'm not really sure what they could do with that. If they want to keep it an anti-tunnel perk, or if they want to change it entirely to something else. I'm not really sure. Maybe it'd be kind of funny if Decisive Strike was a perk where you could like throw a rock at the killer using the Bone Chill snowball throw move, where you could just throw a rock at him and like stun him for a second, like a little, like not even like a second, but like just like hinder him slightly and just and then like slightly hinder the killer while in chase. That might be kind of fun. It makes sense as Decisive Strike or whatever. So I feel like that could be kind of fun. But other than that, I'm not really sure what you would rework Decisive Strike into, but it would obviously need to be reworked. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is a quick video. I just wanted to go over this idea real quickly. Yeah, let me know what you think, and everyone have a good day.